Alan West. How are you, sir?
I'm doing very well, Mark, and congratulations on your recently released book.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. You know, Colonel West, I wanted to bring you on to discuss this deal, so-called deal that they've put together involving Iran with the side deals. And I think there's more than side deals. There's all kinds of stuff going on. I have not asked you generally for your take on this. What is your take on this?
Well, let's just start off with understanding that the United States of America just went into an agreement with the number one state sponsor of Islamic terrorism, a country that has been at war with the United States since 1979, has the blood of Americans on its hands since 1983 with the Beirut bombing, which killed 234 Marines, sailors, and soldiers, who is currently holding 4 Americans hostage, and who, thanks to President Barack Obama, will now become an economic power, a military power, and also a nuclear power between now and year 15. And based upon this joint comprehensive plan of action, the United States of America is not even part of any inspection teams. The United States of America has agreed to protect Iran's nuclear program. The United States of America is not privy to the side deals between Iran and the International Atomic Energy Agency. And recently, I think Monday, a special bulletin was put out by the Middle Eastern Media Research Institute that articulates that the Obama administration, acting through the country of Oman, was negotiating with Iran going back to 2011, and the intent of the negotiation was never to stop or cease or halt Iran's nuclear program, which is exactly what we see the end result being. And shame on the Republicans who control the U.S. Senate, Mr. Corker, especially the chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee, because they did not allow this to be treated as a treaty. So now the president only has to get 1/3 plus 1 in the Senate, 34 individuals, and in the House, the Republicans have to try to get 291 to make this veto-proof. And the only person that stood against that in the Senate was Tom Cotton. So hats off to that Ranger.
Now, let me ask you this. I mean, people are looking at the numbers and so forth. Even if they eventually override this veto, which is going to be very, very difficult, you can see how vicious they are to Schumer. In fact, Schumer has turned into a coward, too. He announces that he's going to vote against it, and then he's running around spending his entire time saying, but I'm not going to pressure anybody else, but I'm not going to pressure anybody else. So they have cowed him. You're waiting for this senator from Maryland. What's his name? Ben Cardin? He's been quiet so far. So they're really, like the mob, they're really putting the shoulder on these guys. And yet, what's amazing to me, Colonel West, is he's already gotten the deal done with the Security Council. Mm-hmm. The Europeans are already going to start releasing money. You got corporatists running into Iran. They can't wait to make their deals. Obama's already defied the rule of law and the Constitution. He doesn't really give a damn what the Congress has to say, does he?
No, he doesn't. You're absolutely right by taking this to the United Nations and getting the Security Council to unanimously endorse this. And so you're right. You're going to see the $120 billion of unfrozen assets will be released to them instead of what we were told, a gradual release. It'll be released one time. And European companies, as well as some American companies and corporations, are looking to go in and, establish markets and trade. China is already going into negotiations with Iran to sell them fighter jets in exchange for oil. You had General Qasem Soleimani, who is a terrorist under an international travel ban in Russia, talking to them about military equipment and trade, which specifically 2 things, aerial refueling tankers and also the S-300 anti-aircraft missile system. But, Mark, this is the thing that every American should understand. Iran is responsible for 20% of the deaths of American men and women in Iraq due to these explosive force penetrators that they supplied to terrorists through the Quds Force, through this General Soleimani. And President Barack Obama is awarding money to a country that right now has seen at least 500 Americans be buried in our soil because of those EFPs that they presented. The president is supporting terrorism. I don't care how you cut it, what you want to say about it. He is allowing them to have their weapons embargo lifted in year 5 for conventional arms, ballistic missiles embargo lifted at year 8. They can go back to full spending of all their centrifuges in year 10, and in year 15, they can build new nuclear reactors. Now, what did the United States of America get out of this, Mark?
Mm-hmm. Good question. Nothing. Nothing. And, the problem, Colonel West, is the next president. What is forget about Hillary, let's say it's a Republican. What is the next president going to be able to even do about this? I mean, I guess they can put the foot on the brake, but still, a lot of damage will have already been done.
A lot of damage will be done, but first of all, the next president of the United States of America needs to rebuild our military capability capacity so we do have that deterrent force as a viable option. The next thing is just the same as what we did with South Africa and the apartheid system. We need to stand on principle, and we need to look at sanctioning and putting sanctions on any country or any company that is doing business with Iran. Think about this, Mark. Here we are at a time when you have liberal leftist progressives that are supporting the boycott, divestment, and sanctions program against Israel, and yet these same leftists are about to lift all the sanctions on Iran.
It's amazing.
This is bizarro world.
Now, I'm going to ask you a question. People ask me this question. Why do you think Obama would do something like this?
I have stated before that when you look at the actions of Barack Obama, going from the time back in 2009 when he gave the speech at the University of Cairo and he asked the Muslim Brotherhood members to be front and center, this president, his policies as far as foreign policy, especially in the Middle East, has supported Islamists. The fact that you still have Fort Hood, Texas, that is called workplace violence. The fact that Jay Johnson, part of his administration at the Aspen Institute about a week and a half ago, said that you cannot say Islamic and terrorist in the same line in the same sentence because that offends the Muslim community. Here we have a president that is violating the U.S. statute and code because he is providing material support and comfort. He is aiding and abetting the enemy. And this represents high crimes and misdemeanors. I can't explain it, Mark. Other than that, it is what it is.
And Congress takes everything off the table. You say high crimes and misdemeanors. That's the offense for impeachment. They surrender the power of the purse. They surrender the treaty power. They're looking for other things to surrender. Isn't this why people are fed up with Washington Republicans?
No, you're absolutely right. And, if we can segue to kind of talk about the atmosphere in the early stage of this 2016 presidential election cycle, you see in the top 6 or top 7, 3 of the political outsiders, Donald Trump, Ben Carson, and Carla Fiorina, being successful because people are tired of the status quo. They're tired of the political elites. And even you see on the side of the left, Bernie Sanders, an avowed socialist, drawing tens of thousands of people for crowds, and Hillary Clinton can't generate any type of energy. People are tired of the D.C. establishment being at both sides of the aisle. But, of course, if we go to the far left, the situations that we find ourselves in will only be exacerbated. So, yes, people are fed up, they're upset, and they want someone that will go in and fight for them.
Tell everybody now what you're doing, what the organization that you lead, and how they can get in touch.
Sure. I am the president and CEO of the National Center for Policy Analysis. I took the reins of this 32-year-old conservative free market think tank back on the 2nd of January. Health savings accounts, something that everyone is talking about right now, was a policy initiative that began out of the NCPA, Roth IRAs. The 401k contributions for individuals were a policy initiative. And what we want to focus on is economic, energy, and national security. And visit our website, www.ncpa.org, and download the information and the research that we're doing, because I just don't want to talk in and back and forth with think tanks or people on Capitol Hill. I want to educate and inform the American citizens so they can make better decisions.
Do you think down the road, you're in Texas now, do you think down the road you would consider re-entry into the political world?
Mark, you and I have said this I've had this conversation so many times. I will do whatever my country needs me to do to serve it and to make sure that, as Benjamin Franklin said on September the 17th, 1787, that we have a republic if we can keep it. I will do whatever I can to keep this great constitutional republic that you and I know truly is under threat.
I think you'd be an incredible Secretary of State or Secretary of Defense. I sat here at the last 8 or 9 minutes just listening to you. You don't have talking points, you don't have cards, just how fluent you are on these subjects. I happen to know you're an incredibly smart man. These various books that you read, you're a voracious reader. I just think, and of course, country with you is absolutely, it's first. And I just think you would be terrific in that role if we can get one of these people elected, one of the conservatives elected.
Well, I will tell you that we would not have signed on to this Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, this deal with Iran, if I had been a Secretary of State, and we would not be decimating our military to where we have an Army that's at pre-World War II levels, a Marine Corps at World War I levels, a Navy at 1917 levels, and the oldest and smallest fleet since we created the modern United States Air Force if I was sitting over there at the Pentagon, because I know about the service and sacrifice and commitment of men and women and what they have made for this country. And I'm just another line of, a man who served in World War II. That was my dad, my older brother in Vietnam, and now my nephew who's still in the Army serving as a major. So my heart's with this country.
By the way, last thing, what did we learn about your congressional district the other day? What did they do to it?
Well, it was very interesting, Mark. It came to be revealed that the Florida Republicans, who had a supermajority in the House and Senate, had unconstitutionally redrawn the congressional districts back in 2012, and they were ordered to redraw those districts, as a matter of fact, this month. So, I guess you were in part targeted, weren't you? Let's be honest. Yeah, I mean, everyone knows that, and people had talked about that, for whatever reason why. I didn't play the game in Tallahassee, and I was not part of the good old boy system because my oath is to the Constitution, is not to any people.
This really infuriates me. I won't tell everybody why, but I have a place now that would have been in your old congressional district. Now I have some puke jerk representing me, but that's a whole other story. Yeah. Alan West, you are a terrific guy. You're a great patriot. You're a great husband and father. I know all these things about you. Continued success, my friend.
Thank you so much, Mark, and all the best to you.
And God bless you. He is great. And by the way, in private, he's hilarious, too.